What was your worst travel experience? My parents got into a huge fight and decided they wanted a divorce on the second day of a week-long vacation at Disney World. It was the most awful week of my life. The most magical place on earth. An elderly woman died 3 seats over from me after 1 hour into a 7-hour flight. Food poisoning in the Dominican Republic 2 days before my flight home. My first instance of it, I crap and puked so hard at the same time I blacked out on the bathroom floor. 10/10. I'm reading this from the toilet with food poisoning. Blacked out laughing 10/10. The trip was great for me and everyone else involved until the end. Went to Jamaica with a 40+ person wedding party. When we got back to the States, people started texting in circles that everyone had hookworms in their feet and legs. Only about 5 people didn't get them and I was one of the lucky few. Some people had the hookworms travel all the way to their knees. After 4 years in England, I flew back to the US into Charleston Airport. My friend was a no-show, so I rented a car and started driving home. So much had changed in 4 years that I had to stop at a gas station and ask for directions. The person was having a hard time, so I said, "What road takes me east? I can find my way from there." And she said, "Honey, if you go east, you'll go into the ocean." I was in Charleston, South Carolina and was supposed to be in West Virginia. Was taking a bus from Newcastle to London. We hadn't even rolled out of the station before some dude goes for a dump and breaks the toilet, causing the smell of poo to spread through bus for the next 6 or 7 hours. I was traveling for work, had not been feeling well for several days. I had a sneaking suspicion that I might have appendicitis. Decided to try to fly home and would go to the air as soon as I landed. Get on the plane, taxi to the runway, and sat in a ground hold for the better part of 2 hours. At this point I felt really bad. I was close to ringing the flight attendant call button and explaining that I needed to get off the plane. We were finally cleared for takeoff, and fortunately it was a relatively short flight. I landed and drove straight to the air. 3 hours later I was in surgery to have my appendix removed. In hindsight, it was an incredibly dumb move to try to fly. If my appendix had ruptured mid-flight, well. I was in Morocco with my parents and they started fighting. People were looking. It was weird. Then my mom stormed off 5 minutes before the boat left to Spain, where our hotel was. We couldn't just leave her, so we had to wait at the dock for multiple hours waiting for her to come back. Then we had to sit there all night because boats didn't go during the night. It sucked. There are worse ways to kill time in Tangier, I guess. A 30-hour hellbus trip between Vang Vien, Laos and Hanoi, Vietnam. Absolutely horrible. Never again. 24 hours in and thank goodness there was nothing freely available with which to hang oneself. You must have had a belt, shoestrings, Twizzlers that you could tie together. You have to be creative. Going to Egypt and getting caught up in the Arab Spring. You win. Probably when my dad woke my brother and me up in the middle of the night while visiting grandma and grandpa to make us walk to the airport. My dad is a very unstable person, and he can lose his crap at the drop of the hat. I was 11, visiting my grandparents in Florida with my dad. He went out, got pee drunk, lost his cell phone, and decided that we were leaving. He woke us up in the middle of the night to pack our bags. Cut to the 3 of us walking down the street with our bags while my grandparents coast next to us begging us to get in the car. We walked for a little while, then caught a cab. Once we got to the airport, I guess my dad realized he couldn't possibly pay for 3 more tickets home, so he lost it again, threw his suitcase across the terminal, and left. Just walked out of the airport. I can still see him disappearing at the top of a hill. My brother and I got our bags, found a maintenance guy, who saw everything but didn't give a crap, and asked where the payphone was. I guess we were going to look up my grandparents' number or something, but then they showed up and took us home. In the morning, Dad was there, acting like nothing ever happened. Worst Christmas ever. TL. DR drunk. Psycho dad left 11-year-old me and 10-year-old brother at an airport on Christmas because he got drunk at a bar and lost his cell phone. taking the small fast boat that operated between Portsmouth and France. It was a stormy day, but the boat had been given the all clear to go. After a while at sea, the weather got a lot worse and the boat started becoming pretty unsteady. People began being seasick and then the staff also started hurling all over the place. Eventually water was seen coming in the vents and smoke. Turns out the smoke was from a flare that had gone off by accident. However, I did not think I would live to see another day. We were the last boat to make that trip that day as the company cancelled all the other crossings. I took a transatlantic cruise back from the Mediterranean to the US on board a Holland America ship because we thought it might be more fun than just flying back. As we were boarding, we were given notice that there was some kind of severe sickness on the previous cruise with lots of vomiting. Basically the whole ship had become a vomitorium. Elevators, hallways, walls, everywhere. Most of the amenities were shut down, including laundry facilities. There were notices that also said the ship was being deep cleaned to remove the virus or germs, or whatever the issue was, but I didn't really see many signs of that, as our room was pretty filthy. There was a layer of grime on the phone that made it look like it was never washed. The sheets looked dirty and stained, and that bathroom was mildew city. We immediately made demands to have the room cleaned again, and it wasn't much better. After 2 days on the ship, we started to hear about people getting sick on the cruise and being quarantined in their quarters. I even saw fresh vomit in the hall. We were still traveling around the coast of Europe and were at a port in Spain when we decided to nope the frick out of the rest of the cruise, took the loss, and fly back home instead anyway. Was in Germany a few years back when that volcano in Iceland erupted and European countries closed their airports. Had to go through Poland and Baltic countries with Polish bus drivers who couldn't speak English, while watching Polish dubbed Forrest Gump on a loop for 24 hours. Well, you know, life is like a box of Zekoladki. A caravan trip to the north of Western Australia in the 70s. On the way we were headed through a cattle grid. For those that don't know, this is where the fence crosses the road and there is a metal grid in the road to stop cows. There was a dead bloated roo on the grid and a car coming the other way, so my father had to drive over the roo, which burst. We wound up the windows very fast and at the next town all the dogs came running and had a great time eating chunks of dead cooked rotten roo off the car. We then drove over 180 miles of corrugated and sealed road and spent the night in a caravan park. Reed bare dirt patch with no power and thunderbox loose for caravan park. We had a fire in the caravan that night. When we got to our destination and hooked up the power, there was no electrical fault which threw my mother 30 feet. It was supposed to be a save the marriage holiday. I was about 15 and the entire month was heck on wheels. Just in my 6 months alone in Europe, I got stuck in a soccer riot in Greece. We were in Thessaloniki and just walking about when out of nowhere we see a police motorcade full of motorcycles and horses. We thought it must be some sort of festival or parade or something because a crowd was drawing. Eventually we heard singing coming down the block and hundreds of hooligans were marching toward the police. Once we realized what was going on, we tried to leave, but crap already started to go down. In trying to escape, we got hit with tear gas from the police and found shelter in a random building. That one, while terrifying in the moment, is one of my favorite memories looking back. Got caught in a storm out at sea. We boarded a little boat in the Peloponnese Islands, and 20 minutes in a storm started. It was pretty scary because the boat was only big enough for like 10 people and we were rocking pretty violently. Got lost in Bucharest with no wallet, phone, or form of it. This only happened because my so was carrying all of our stuff and we got separated in one of the biggest piazzas in the city. Was locked out of my hotel in 110 plus Florence heat with all my luggage the entire day. This wasn't a hotel exactly, but someone's apartment that was listed online. It was in the Piazza Duomo, right across from it. The owner forgot about our arrival, I guess, and didn't come back until 3 PM. After 5-6 hours of us stuck with all of our stuff in the sweltering heat. If you've been in Italy in July, then you know how awful it is. Took the wrong train, ended up in an entirely different country than I expected. Fended off an attempted mugging. In June of 2013 I went on a plane by myself for the first time. I was 16. To France. I had to go from Memphis to Atlanta, then Brussels, Belgium to Nantes, France. When I got to Atlanta I had a 4-hour layover. I got a little bit hungry, so I bought myself a turkey sandwich. Fast forward to the plane. I'm sitting between an elderly German couple who are snoring. I hear my stomach make a noise like a bear having a stroke. I say oh crap and try to stumble over the old dude, but I trip and fall on my face. I pick myself up, wait 5 minutes for one of the stalls to be open, then proceed to puke for the rest of the flight. I get to Brussels and like on the plane my stomach is still heaving. Soon I find a restroom and the guy's one is out of order. I pretty much say screw it and go to the ladies' restroom. People look at me like I am out of my mind and go to a stall, puke, nod to the 2 pretty young women in there, and leave. A pretty nice guy gets me through a shorter line than where I was supposed to go, and the next thing I know is I am on my flight. The guy who was supposed to sit with me saw me fill a few bags and was pretty much upgraded to first class. All this time the stewardesses are giving me more bags. I say thank you, leave, pick up my luggage, and go to some family member's house. I am then in bed for 2 days from food poisoning and dehydration. TLDR. Don't eat a turkey and mayo sandwich in Atlanta. Always eat something hot and cooked. It doesn't guarantee safe passage, but decreases chances of food poisoning. Even a McDonald's burger would be better than a turkey and mayo sandwich stored for who knows how long. Bitten by a, they say, black widow on my first day in Borneo. The paralysis started on my hand, where I was bitten, and just traveled up and got really scary when it started affecting my breathing. The clinic, and then the ER, gave me paracetamol, which didn't quite deal with the problem at hand. Went to Rome and ended up in hospital with a liver infection and no English speaking doctors. Went to Cambodia and got mugged by a group of guys on motos and my local friends decided to chase them with meat cleavers and machetes I didn't previously know they owned. Went to Australia and got 3rd-degree burns on my foot on the last day of a festival I was volunteering at and got lots of morphine, and my Brazilian friends found a trolley to wheel me back to my hostel in after. Pick your favorite. My most recent travel album on Facebook was titled That Time I Went Abroad and Didn't End Up in Hospital. Went to Cambodia and got mugged by a group of guys on motos and my local friends decided to chase them with meat cleavers and machetes I didn't previously know they owned. Ha, guys, I was mugged, don't worry, we got this. Finish drinks, pull machetes out of nowhere. Well, we arrived at our hotel in France. The room was amazing just until entering the toilet. There was a giant mushroom growing out the side of the sink. Well, the French are famous for their cuisine. Was going to say when I got stuck overnight in the Kansas City airport and all the restaurants were closed, but after reading through these posts I really didn't have it so bad after all. When I lived in LA, one night I was watching The Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson. A commercial came on for a stand-up show he was doing in Vegas that coming Saturday. I thought, you know what, I'm gonna go to that. I bought a ticket for the show online and booked flight and hotel through T-City. Flight confirmed. Hotel reservation confirmed. The flight went well, but guess what happened when I got to the hotel? They didn't have my reservation. But TR bullshit, he said that my reservation was confirmed. Yes, but the hotel had sold out since then. Yes, I'm one of the customers you sold out to. Apparently that's not how it works. I got on the phone to Los Atravesti to get it sorted out. Nearly lost the call as the battery on my cell phone nearly drained out after 40 minutes on hold. They did get me another hotel, halfway across town, at $25 a night more than the room I had booked, and I missed the show. Money spent for hotel, show ticket and round trip flight for nothing. I now book flights and hotels directly. Lying on my visa application to Azerbaijan, getting woken up on the night train and bundled into a little cabin at the back of the train at the border, grilled by 2 officers in impressively out-of-date communist-style uniforms. Massive hass. For a while with a camera and light on me. Worked out all okay though. They didn't know. Just not many English people going to Azerbaijan via night trains, I guess. London overground after 1 centimeter of snow. You have been visited by the Wealth Rat. Subscribe in 12 seconds and he will share his wealth with you. Thanks for watching. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.